And then you land East Los High. Mm-hmm. And what do you remember about getting that call?
That was Blanca Valdez again. And the biggest thing, I think I read for like 5 roles on East Los. So I had kept coming in, and Philly was the last one that I read for. And the biggest thing there was that when you read for so many roles, like, we want to fit her in this mold somewhere, or
so in other words, they had you read for a bunch of different roles because they wanted you. Mm-hmm. They were just going to try to figure out which one fit you best.
Exactly. Or even sometimes roles have been created differently.
Yeah.
Like Philly was supposed to be same with Scar in Casey Undercover. I always get this, like, they were supposed to be like, for lack of a better whatever, and we're just talking openly, they had this image of them being like a big bully or something like that, like a bigger girl, or like in East Los High, she was more like in banda, which is a Mexican style type of music, mm-hmm. Banda, mariachi, something like that. Like, she was supposed to kind of have that vibe, but be like kind of more like bullyish and bigger and that sort of thing, physically. But I always come in and I'm a little pit bull. So I think that's the 305 pit bull, okay? No, I always come in and it's just a different kind of savagery. Like, it's a different kind of aggressiveness. And so they changed some of the role to be like a Puerto Rican, mm-hmm. from New York, Florida, that sort of thing, Miami. And we rolled with that.
So did you know that show was going to become a success when you were starting on it? Did you have any inkling?
For me, I honestly I felt like, because I was so young and just getting into television, I didn't know where it was going to go. But the way that it got such great reviews and it was received so well with the demographic, we were very proud of that we made people from East LA super proud.
Did you know your character was going to make it through the whole series, or did you think that, that might be some point where she transfers out or gets locked up or something happens?
It wasn't even a thought in my mind. Like, at that time, I was just happy to dance,
do the work.
Like, do the work. Even to this day, like, it's so amazing to have that, because I'm obviously in talks now about producing my own shows, producing my own stuff, working with management to become a producer with them. But back at that time, I just really wanted to get all of the work there and out and make it really good, like really authentic. So I didn't think about, would I make it to the next season? I was thinking about and I was also very confident. I'm just a very confident person. What is the next season? How can I go harder? How can I have more choreography under my belt? Because of the fact that we were on the bomb squad. So I knew the bomb squad would always survive.
Because that was the core characters of the show.
So it wasn't ever a worry or a concern or something like that. It was just very much so an excitement. Like, I always wanted to dance, and we were a little family. So it was cool.
So had you worked on an entirely Latino production before, or was this the first one you had where pretty much everybody was either Latino or Latina?
I love that you bring that up, because that's one of the biggest things that we talk about, or what we talked about during a lot of the press tours and stuff like that. I had never seen, that was also another thing that I, as an artist, was like, this is the first show I've ever seen with an entirely Latino cast. So we were very proud, but it was the first of its kind, one of the first of its kind,
absolutely.
Along with what came out around then, Orange is the New Black. It wasn't a full Latino cast, but they had a lot of that representation, and it started becoming more and more. So I definitely felt the weight of it being something like, this is respected.
So you landed a great role on All the Queen's Men, which was executive produced by Tyler Perry. Yeah. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, that's been amazing. I mean, it just was a very fairly new experience. I booked it that day, or I think it was like a couple days later. I play an officer, lesbian officer, Kat. And I say that because it's a very important relationship within the show. And it was really exhilarating to know like that we didn't have any producers calls or anything like that. It was just I booked it off the tape. Because with pandemic, that was a huge thing too, that we were just booking things off of tape or doing Zoom calls. Ever since 2020, it was just one of those things of how are we going to really get these actors in the room and feel it. Booking all the Queen's Men and working with everyone I worked with in the Tyler Perry camp has been really awesome. Our season 2 just premiered last week.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. So I think the role that we're all waiting to finally see is your portrayal of Vanessa del Rio in The Latin from Manhattan. What was it like playing a biographical role like that, and you know, based entirely on a real person and her story?
Yeah, it's been a really, really delicious, exhilarating ride with Vanessa, and as you know, she is with us to this day. I speak with her. It's been an amazing process to get her input.
Did you have you gotten to meet her, or did pandemic?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah, I met her back in 2017.
Okay.
When I had gotten the role. We've been working on this for about 5 years. It's been a while, so I see why you would say.
No, I remember. That's why we're waiting.
Yeah, when we met, we've been anticipating it.
I remember seeing stuff on Instagram about it, like forever ago.
But I will say, things have been really great. We're getting it to the point where it's in post, which is nice. But the biggest thing with that role is that there's so much, it doesn't really get spoken about as much as it should be, and it's women empowerment. I mean, playing this role of this first Latina adult star, and her being Cuban and Puerto Rican as well, it's just that representation of having the guts to do what you want to do with your life. And when I speak with her, it's like that every time. It's no different than someone who wants to be a high-powered attorney or, get into some other occupation that's not being an adult star. She is a legend. And when we speak, I have that esteem for her because she's so intelligent. It's so cool. And everyone who I'm working with, from Drea DiMatteo, Shane West,
Esai.
Jesse Metcalf, Isai Morales. He's so amazing. Elizabeth Rodriguez, Taryn Manning, gosh, the list goes on. They're all just so brilliant. And they're so, we're like a little family too. I feel really comfortable with being so vulnerable on set because you're in some pretty compromising scenes, but it really makes me feel good that everyone is doing the work and putting the work in, and that there's history there. I love the 70s. I love the 80s. So, is
there one story from the set? Because we talked about the thing from Hair. Is there something from this particular movie that kind of sticks out to you that you always carry with you?
I think every day
there was something crazy every day.
Yes. I don't want to, without giving away too much. Let's see. I mean, there's so many things that have to do with giving away a scene in the set. I will say this: Dave Preval, who I didn't mention as one of the actors, Mean Streets, Sopranos. David Preval is legendary and iconic. He came to my trailer one day, and I was like, we just had a conversation like normal. And I'm the type of person who has her door open, come through, I'm getting hair and makeup done, like, let's talk, let's hang. But when he was walking away, he's always like, hey sweetie, hey girl, like, he's just so sweet. But when he was walking away, in my mind, I was like, oh my God, that was just David Preval.
That just happened.
Yeah, that just happened. Him having a regular conversation with me.
So any idea when we can actually expect to see the film?
Yeah, it's so they just had a screening, like a first look in LA last month, but we're looking to do a premiere in New York City coming very soon. Yeah. That's
so cool. So I want to talk about Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies.
Yes.
You get to play Kitty in this much anticipated Grease spinoff. What are you allowed to tell us about the project at this point? Are you allowed to tell us anything?
I was just going to say, do you know who Kitty is? No. I can't. Yeah, that's one. I've been giving you a lot.
So it's kind of it's
definitely very under wraps. I knew that was one of the topics that we were going to have this discussion on Grease today, and the biggest thing about it is that there's just so much history, and when you step on that Paramount set, the feeling. You feel it, and it's so iconic, and it being about rise of the Pink Ladies, like truly about the women and how they got there and what the struggles they were going through high school and why they decided to become the Pink Ladies. But yeah, being all up in the mix of that, I'll tell you something, it's epic.
Does when you have that and you have that energy rush, does that automatically increase your intensity?
Oh yeah.
And
intensity
that helps you bring it, doesn't it?
Yes. And it also, you bring it on there, and you also feel like you have a responsibility, because for John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, Kanicki, use his name like that, Stalker Channing, for everyone that really, they're a part of the legacy, a part of the franchise, that it feels so good to represent that. And yeah, absolutely, you feel like you put that much more into the music, that much more into the dancing, your scenes. I'll tell you another thing, the scenes that get really intense are my favorite. Most definitely my favorite by far.
So, speaking of music, you've got, I think I heard one of your songs on Spotify, and you're working on some music. You've got some other projects undergoing. You mentioned an animated project, and then you've got this kind of horror.
There's a few, yes.
So,
oh, yes.
Yeah, so talk about those things.
That. Oh my God, sometimes you make me forget, so no.
Yeah, you got a lot going on. So.
Yeah, there is a lot, and what's great is that so much of it is premiering kind of at the same time. So these last 2 years have been very, very busy, just busy for me. But to hop into those different characters is the coolest thing ever, like switching it up and just being someone different. But with the music, that came from a musical, actually. It was Once Upon a Time, the rock opera. Shout out to Ace and Aaron. They're the best producers, directors, everything. They're a couple, actually. It's a wife and husband who did this together. But with music-wise, I'm writing my own music now. So original stuff, which, I feel like when you experience things sometimes, not even sometimes, it drives you to create your own kind of thing and put that out there. It's a really great creative outlet. And being a singer, I was always singing other people's music, and now I kind of want to branch out and show people my energy or how I feel or what kind of music I want to put out there.